Do you struggle with swaying into the backswing? I can help solve your problem. We're gonna discuss what happens when you sway, how to get rid of it, and why it can hurt your golf swing. Let's do this. All right, real quick, swaying is when the hip gets outside the line. So if I draw a line on the side of my hip, you're gonna see this right next to me right here. If you draw a line on the outside of your hip and your hip crosses that line, instead of rotating in place, the best players in the world, their hips rotate in place. Some players like Henrik Stenson rock off the ball, but then they stay still, the hip doesn't sway. The main issue with the sway is it causes you to go into reverse spine angle, and you can't be powerful from reverse spine angle, meaning that the hip goes this way, makes your spine tilt towards the target that way. And from there, we can't swing from there, because if we do, we're gonna come over the top and be super steep, or we're gonna come here and then we're gonna throw the club out here like this, and then we're gonna create a scoop and fall behind. Because if I give you a heavy ball and I say, hey, I want you to throw it this way, but I want you to do it with some power, you're not going to reverse this way and then throw the ball. There's no power that way. You're gonna load to your right, but you're gonna coil that hip and then you're gonna drive off that leg. But if your hip goes out this way and you lean this way, there's no power. And it creates casting, it creates scooping, it creates inconsistency with the face. So let's talk about how do we get rid of that and how do we make that movement better? Sometimes it's hard to tell what's causing it. Sometimes it's the shoulder dipping and the shoulder going back. Sometimes the hip is literally just getting out and the weight's getting on the outside of the foot. That's a common thing we see, is the weight's physically getting to the outside of your foot instead of staying on the inside of your foot. So I'm gonna walk you through a couple different things to start working on fixing this. One other thing I'm gonna mention though, we do see this a lot. Swaying comes from when the knee buckles. So the knee goes out, and you're gonna see when the knee goes out, people will bend this way. So let's start with the first phase I always go through with my clients. Number one, we're gonna teach the right leg what to do. We want the right leg to get straighter, but it's done through hip rotation. So not getting enough hip rotation in the right hip. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your right toe, I want you to flare it open, okay, just like this. And when you make a turn, I want you to make a big hip turn, but take your rear end and move it straight behind you. Instead of caving in this way, we're gonna push our butt back, and if you notice, when I turn, I push that butt back, that leg straightens. If the motion is done properly, you don't have a choice. If the butt goes back, this leg is gonna naturally straighten. So when you take a backswing, flare your right toe about 20, 25 degrees, make a big hip turn, and push that hip back and allow that leg to straighten. We never want it to fully lock out, because we can't be powerful from a locked position. But if you're moving the hip back and you're making a big enough hip turn, it's going to straighten a little bit. And if you watch, if this is straightening, we're gonna get rid of this motion, right? And typically, it actually helps us stay more still. Now, to take that a little bit more advanced, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take a wedge. Now you can use a golf ball, a tee, something under your foot. You just want some feedback. I'm gonna put this on the side of my foot here, just like this. And instead of letting the pressure at the top of the swing go to the outside of my foot, this is gonna force me to feel the pressure on the inside of my foot. So it's a good feel drill. So you're gonna turn that hip back, you're gonna keep the pressure on the inside of your foot, and you're gonna see a nice big coil, and you're gonna see your hip stay perfectly still. So when we draw that line, we want the hip to stay on that line. You can maybe create a little bit of space. We don't wanna create more space and reverse pivot, and we definitely don't wanna cross it. Now we can come to it and stop and turn. We just don't wanna bump that hip across that line, okay? So now, this is a good way to get a feel, but this isn't the way you should always practice. I think it's better to make it harder on yourself and actually put it on the inside of your foot and force yourself to keep the pressure on the inside, because that's going to force you to create the muscle strength to keep in that pressure on the inside of your foot. So you're gonna set up just like this. You're gonna twist, you're gonna really press down on that wedge, ball, tee, whatever you put right there to feel it. and you're gonna feel yourself get a nice coil. This can help you gain some more distance. I think it's gonna help you gain more distance easy because most of our clients don't make a big enough hip turn. Now, if you already make a big hip turn, just improve the quality of the motion if you think you struggle with swaying in the backswing, okay? So, I'm gonna set up, I'm gonna hit a couple shots here. I'm gonna take this wedge, I'm gonna stick it on the inside of my foot here, okay? And I'm gonna make some little half swings. I would always start small and really feel the coil, but feel the pressure stay on the inside of the foot. So here, coil, and through. I'm gonna hit one more. Really feeling that muscles on the inside of my thigh, engage. Let that left butt cheek go back, coil, and come through. If you will work on those things, use that as a drill, make small little half swings so you can feel the motion of the hip going backwards and the pressure staying on the inside of your foot. And also if you're struggling with the knee caving, that'll help a lot. You're gonna see massive improvement in your hip turn, your distance. I think you'll actually gain some face control over some time. It'll make a big difference in your golf swing. If you wanna take this further, I have a free video series for you guys. It's my 3 keys to creating a consistent golf swing. It's completely free. Click the link below. It's a link in the description. It's gonna walk you through the different positions in the backswing you need to creating a consistent strike through impact and controlling your club face. It's gonna talk about how you should properly release the club so that the face can be consistent every single time, and then how to correct contact errors. Okay, because if you want to be consistent, you have to make consistent contact. We need to release the face the same way every single time, and we need to change positions within the swing to create the ball flight that you're looking for. It's a completely free course. Click it below. If you're also interested in private lessons, if you're local, there's going to be a link below to book lessons online or book your lesson. And then if you're interested in online lessons, there's a link below as well. If you're interested in taking online lessons, click that link. Look at all the information about how my online lessons work. We'll see you soon.